So welcome back to the Fanzone podcast, and it's a little bit of a different one this time. This is our monthly special, I suppose. It's the Christmas special, New Year special. So I suppose it's only right by wishing you all a happy New Year and a happy belated Christmas. By the time you see this, it'll probably be on New Year's Day, and whether you're watching this with a sore head or not, I hope you all had a good time over the festive season. And what a month it's been. Obviously, the Fanzone podcast is now in full swing. I think we're up to about episode 7 already. And it's at the time of recording this anyway. And it's, some good guests on there. We've had a guest appearance on Trotter Chatter, which is on the way. Obviously, we had Nappers on our podcast not too long ago, and some exciting guests lined up in the new year, which we're really looking forward to bring you all. And off the pitch, we had some pretty good things going down at Bolton as well. We had the Carol concert, which seemed to go off as a big success. In the lead up to it, there were a lot of big names showing some support for the club, and I suppose we'll touch on that a little bit. And just, how do you think it went? What were your thoughts on the Carol concert? Was it a good initiative? It was just I think it was just a nice way to round off the year, really. What did you think, Chris?
Yeah, obviously we didn't get to record-breaking status, which is, I think, close on 26,000. I think it was a Nigerian concert from a while ago that got to 26,000. But I think, from what I can gather, there was over 10,000 there. They've raised over 10 grand for the various charities. I think it's had some good publicity through the EFL. I noticed the other day that the EFL put a video out through their channel. It's just good exposure for the club. And it's it's raising money for good causes as well. So, no, pleasing from that perspective. I think realistically, I don't think they expected to break the record. It would have meant basically maxing out capacity at the ground pretty much, which would be a hell of an achievement. There was a game the night after, which was the Papa John's against the United kids. It was freezing cold. It was a Monday night, so there was loads of bits that kind of probably deterred people somewhat. But still, no, it's good to have those things in the pipeline. So yeah, fair play, well done.
Yeah, definitely was a good idea. And although, like you said, we didn't quite break the record, that community activation and bringing people together in and around the club is what's been missing for a long time, as I'm sure many people know. What about you, Ange? What do you make of it?
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely, it's like the epitome of the one club, one community, one town motto that they've got. Hundreds of school kids there, all from across the borough. It wasn't about football, so you'll have had people going down who don't go to the football. So it's a chance to kind of look at what we've done. Like they've tied up bits of the ground, and you know what I mean. I think it's just nice for the club to open its doors to the community for a non-football related night of fun, and it looked beautiful. I mean, I still had it was freezing cold, wasn't it? And it had been snowing. So yeah, I think they got a really good turnout, and I think it's absolutely building that ethos that they want to instill within the club, that we are about the community as well, not just about the football.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I'm sure there'll be many more things throughout the course of next year that follow that same sort of suit. Plenty of events and things like that. I suppose it's only right now to sort of touch on the on the pitch stuff. Been a good old month of football, to be fair. December so far. Obviously, we're recording this on the 22nd. Not long after a good game at Exeter. And in fact, the only game we've lost so far is against Shrewsbury, which, was a poor game. There's no denying that, but it was one that, perhaps we could have had 3 points of. So, what do you think? December, good month for you both. We had the Papa John's as well, which we had a good performance in that. That's 2 games on the bounce, really. That I think we've been pretty good. So what do you make of December, Chris?
Yeah, no, you say it's been excellent thus far. It's going to get challenging and it's going to get busy. So next game will be Derby at home. We're looking at a bumper attendance. I think we're up to close on 23,000 tickets sold. Derby have sold their allocation over 5,100 and odd. So shame it's not on Boxing Day. Obviously, that's that's a bit of a drawback. But on the positive side, it does bring some revenue not only from those gate receipts but also from Sky, which we get very, very little coverage on. So that's good. Then obviously we've got Lincoln away. That'd be, if we can mirror what we did last season. It was our first away win last season, and it was a great night. Hopefully we can replicate that. It's not going to be easy, nor is Barnsley away, who are obviously in a great run of form. So the month thus far, like you say, has been really good, bar Shrewsbury, but it's going to get challenging, and I think it's going to tell us a lot, as Christmas normally does, in terms of what the table's going to look like come end of the season. So, no, positive so far, and obviously we've got a new defence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
successful.
Like you said, over the next few games, we've got a pretty tough run. There's no denying that. I think we face some really good teams. Like you said, in Derby, Lincoln, Barnsley, but Plymouth as well, Portsmouth twice, and Derby again not too long after. What about you, Ange? What did you make of December? What were your what was your best game of December? Which one did you enjoy most?
Oh, it's one of them. It's one of them with December where Exeter was a really comfortable match.
Yeah.
So first half, loved it.
Yeah.
Second half, we won, and it's always nice to win. But there's something about those last minute equalisers, winners, whatever, that just gets your adrenaline pumping a little bit. So I think I actually, although I was at home watching it on iFollow with a poorly child, I think I enjoyed Bristol.
Oh, really?
I think just because it was Toll's first match, wasn't it? So we got to see Toll. They dug in. They're for me, they're a side that epitomises the manager, and that he runs through that entire squad. And it felt good. Do you know what I mean? And it's not always that we played beautiful football or we've won it comfortably. For me, it's kind of it's that reaction, and it's that determination, and that digging in and digging really deep when you need to. And I think they're the matches that I tend to really enjoy.
Yeah.
But in all, November, December, I dread every year. Every season we struggle. November, winter months. Well, certainly before the transfer window, we really struggle. So I am over the moon with November, December.
Yeah, no, I think compared to the last 2 seasons that we've had under Everett, this November, December, despite having some, poor performances and being a little bit off the mark compared to the last 2, we're not doing too bad. All things considered, it does seem like our team maybe aren't fans of the cold, perhaps, but January might provide us some strength. And following on from that, I suppose, I thought we could look at the released list for players that are out of contract this summer. There are quite a few big names in there. of players that obviously will have the option to move on in summer should they not be offered a new contract. And there are obviously the loan players that we've got in, which will return to their parent clubs. So I thought we could go through said list and what we do with each player, whether we'd offer them a contract extension or let them go their own way. So I've got a list of all the players noted down here. So I'll go through the list and we'll all have a discussion on what we think we would do with them. So let's start off with Bakayoko, 20 goals himself. Not yet to see 20 goals this season, not quite anywhere near. But what would your plans be if you were Ian Evatt for Bakayoko? Do you think he's still got a place in our team, or with the potential of Danny Ward coming in January, could that make way for, or could that push Baka further out of the squad? I will start with you, Ange. What do you think?
For me, if Ward is a target, he's the man that he replaces.
Yeah.
Brutal, but
it's life, I'm afraid.
It is. It's football.
Yeah. It's not a popularity contest, unfortunately, is it?
No, and I think we'd have too many similar players if it's all speculation, isn't it? At the minute, we don't know that he's definitely a target, but we know it's a decent source it's come from. So yeah, for me, if we're getting him in, it's Baka that makes room for him.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? Are you on the same page?
Yeah, very much so. I think just to spin it on its head a little bit, he's only 26. He's not getting first team football. He's stagnating. Yeah. He needs games. I don't think, he's always happy. He's a very positive sort of, figure around the team.
Yeah.
But he's not here for that. He's here to play professional football and score goals. And at 26, I imagine that if the opportunity is there for both to part ways, the club and the player, that I think they'll both jump at the opportunity. And I think, like you say, Andy, I think the signing of Danny Ward or another striker could be the key component in what happens with that. If we get another, he'll go, I think.
Yeah, it is a shame. I think he's been, a good character to have around the club. He always seems, like everyone said, happy and just a good all-round lad. But, with only one goal and one assist this season so far, it's perhaps time for him to be knocking on the door elsewhere. I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't get game time in another League One team, maybe just a little bit further down the table. He's got the quality there. He scored 10 last season. He's a good player. On his day, he can be. But I think I'm on the same page as both of you. That especially if Ward is one that's likely to come in, I think Baka in the summer will have to make way. Maybe even in January. Who knows? So next, which I think this might be quite possibly the most controversial one, so to speak, and that is Elias Kachunga. There will be plenty of people who are furiously on one side of the argument and some on the other. I'll start with this one, which might actually surprise both of you, but I think, depending on at least how the January window goes, or if there's any business lined up in summer, then Catcher should be one to go, unfortunately. If there is the intention of going out and buying a number 10 in either January or summer, if there are other players from other teams, out of contract that we're looking at, and we can bring those in for the right money, then Catcher, I think, may have to make way. What about you, Chris? Where do you stand?
I have to agree, I'm afraid. And it's another one, he's important as part of the team from a motivational point of view. Obviously, I think people refer to him as Evert's favourite. I think he does do things that other that he's got attributes to his game which not a lot of what we've got have.
Yeah.
Is that even a sentence? But he does bring something to the table, but I just don't think he brings enough, unfortunately. And it's bit parts. Again, he's 30. He's had championship experience. I don't think he'd go back up, but he'll have aspirations, and I just don't think it's with us.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. What about you, Ange? Oh dear.
I mean, there'll be people who will be furious with me, but with Catcher in the side, we're a League One team. So if we go up, he's gone, definitely.
Yeah.
I kind of personally adore him because I think he's a really good person, and I think he's probably a really good morale booster. And I reckon his work ethic is amazing. Yeah. But I kind of get why people are frustrated with him because, like Chris has just said, he's played in the Championship. He's been there, and he's
played in the Premiership, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Albeit briefly for Huddersfield, but he had a bit of a do, didn't he?
Yeah. So for me, he's one. It'll depend on what we've got, what we can get through, what deals we can pull off.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he'll definitely be on that. They'll have the list, won't they? Of definitely going, definitely staying, and he'll be in the middle, and it'll bounce about with depending who comes in. And I can't say either way. With him, I can't on him because I think he's too dependent on. I think he's too dependent on what comes in. And I like him. And I like him, and it's really hard, isn't it, when you like someone.
Yeah, well, there is another one of those players on this list that I think will break hearts. We'll get to him in a little bit. Next up.
No, we won't. I've got to be somewhere.
Next up is James Trafford. Obviously, the choice isn't really ours as to whether he does make a return or not. So I suppose this is more of a, would you like him to? For me, I think it's unquestionable whether we go up or stay in League One. I'd like to see him back, but I think whether he does come or not will depend on that factor. I think there will be a series of Championship clubs lining up potential loan moves for him because he's shown he's more than capable of playing, or could be more than capable of playing at that level. So for me, I'd definitely like to see him back with us for another season. I'd love to see him with us forever, but I think he's got a bright future that might slightly outgrow. I suppose Bolton. What about you, Chris? Would you like to see him back? I think it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. But that said, whilst him making a decision to stay with us or City making a decision that he should stay with us will largely depend on us getting promotion, because he does need that step up.
Yeah.
I think we need to make a decision as well that if we don't go up, that we get a permanent goalkeeper in situ. It's a really important position, and we've got to start looking forward. He signed a 5-year contract with City. We'll never sign him.
Yeah,
that's obvious. So we need to start looking at the future as well. He's brilliant. I mean, geez, I struggle to think of anybody who's got a bad word to say about him in terms of what he does as a goalkeeper, but also his temperament and his attitude. He doesn't feel like a lone player, does he? And that says everything you need to know about him. But yeah, I'd love him to stay.
Yeah, I think that many of our fans will back you on that. The way he conducts himself is impeccable for someone of his age, and just the way he seems to have fitted into the team is mind blowing. Hard to believe we've actually had him here for 2 seasons, or will have by the end of his loan term this time. But yeah, what about you, Ange? I suppose you'll agree.
Love the boy, love him. Yep. Absolutely adore that boy. Exactly the same as Chris, though. They're going to want to step him up, and if we don't go up, I don't think we'll get him another season. But also, we need a number one. We need a proper number one, and it kind of detracts, doesn't it, a little bit when you've got a lone player of that caliber.
Yeah.
It kind of papers that crack a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
So,
yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, I think we should be, like Chris said, we're never going to sign him. And if we can keep him for a little bit longer whilst we're embedding someone that we find, I don't know about Hutchinson if he's there yet.
Yeah,
we've heard good things about him, but is that what they're thinking? Are they trying to just get Hutchinson there? Are the keepers are not easy to come by, are they? So
no.
I just love him.
Yeah, there are a lot of fans, I think, that are on that same page, and it is a tough one. Obviously, it'd be great to see him back, but if we don't get promotion, or even if we do get promotion, when is the right time to start looking at having your own number one? Because although loans are good for the club and good for other clubs in the football pyramid, they can be taken away from you just as quickly as they're given out. Yeah. So it'd be good for us to have some security in that number one spot, and whether Hutchinson can provide that by summer, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Another similar player, and that is Connor Bradley. Obviously on loan from us to us from Liverpool, and what a player that, like Trafford, has settled in really well and has really hit the ground running and made himself at home in a good Bolton Wanderers side, it has to be said. Again, I'd love to see him back, but like Trafford, I think that will hinge on whether we make the step up to the Championship or not. There were already rumours after only a few games with us that there were Championship clubs sniffing around and trying to tempt him away from us. So I think if we can't make the step up this season, then he definitely will. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I agree with that. I remember posting on Twitter, I'm going to sound like a right smart ass here, but we went up to the pre-season against Longridge, where we saw him for the first time in a Bolton shirt, and I tweeted, be careful because you're going to fall in love with another lone player here. And I think that's come home to roost. He's just, think about was it earlier this week? His interview. It was after Exeter, wasn't it? All he wants for Christmas is Bolton in the Championship.
Got me in the feels, that one.
Oh my God. I heard it on the radio on the way home, and I was like, I've just got to stop the cat. Joking is, again, you think about the attitude of loan players typically at a club, especially when they come down a couple of divisions. There's a bit of an attitude. There's a bit of entitlement. He's just the kid has just got his head screwed right on, and we're so lucky to have him, especially when you consider who he replaced and how the fans felt about Marlon. It's better, he's had a bit of a rough few games, but he's going to tire. But he was back to his absolute best on Saturday, apart from his header against Exeter. he was brilliant, and it's just a reminder of how lucky we are to have him. It's like it feels like we're cheating some weeks having him.
Yeah. He is a player of great quality, and at such a young age, he's another one like Trafford that, definitely has a very special future lined up. possibly with Liverpool, possibly with another club, but it'll be definitely one to look out for in the future. And I suppose again, you're on the same page as us.
Oh, these are easy. They're easy decisions, these ones. And do you know what? I've just realised. We've not told. No one. Chris hasn't told anyone why he's got hair today. And then Marlon Fassy just reminded me, you aren't actually Marlon Fassy today.
No. This is Christmas Campo. I don't have a Christmas jumper, so I thought, who better to bring it to the pod than the ghost of Campo past.
But yeah, diverting slightly there, but love that boy as well. Love him. Would keep him forever. I think he's a credit to his parents as well, because he's just a nice boy.
Yeah, he's a great lad.
100%. Okay, so now we are joined by Ian Bridge of the Bolton Wanderers Supporters Trust. So go on, Ian, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, many people will know that you are associated with the trust. For those of you who don't, just give them a little overview about what you do and who you are.
Well, Bolton Wanderers fan for life, of course. Started watching the Wanderers in the very early 60s. Eddie Hopkinson was my first hero. I remember actually seeing Franny Lee playing for the Wanderers, so that's how long I've been about the place and watching them. And in those years, as everybody knows, we've had massive ups and we've had massive downs. We've been in the bottom tier, the 4th division as it was at the time. Only stayed there for a season then, only stayed there for a season recently. So we've been down there, we've been down at the bottom. The worst of it all was I've never really worried about the fact that the club will go out of existence, which, as we all know, it very nearly did in 2019, which wasn't that very long ago.
No.
I have done work for the club in the past in my professional capacity and an engineering capacity, and I could see that things were right behind the scenes in 2015-16 leading up to that, and that's why I got involved in setting up the trust, because we didn't have one at the time. And the more that you deal with other trusts and find out what goes on at other clubs, you find that trusts are generally set up in times of distress, which was the case with us.
Yeah,
it's the case with many, many other clubs. And we all know what happened in early 2016. We ended up with Dean Holdsworth and certain other individual who came in and took over the club. Dino disappeared after not too long. He was ousted, and then we ended up in the massive doldrums with Mr. Anderson. So that's how I've been involved in the trust, setting up the trust, and hopefully we're in much calmer waters now.
I'm sure many fans will share that hope. I suppose, could you just give us 5 words that describe the Supporters Trust? So for those fans that might not be familiar with what the Trust do or who they are, give us just 5 words that sort of describe the Trust.
Let's have a think. Well, what we do is we represent and protect supporters' interests. There you go. Is that 5? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think that sums up what the Trust do.
Yeah.
There was many misconceptions in the early days that we were trying to buy the club at a tenner a year subscription, which, of course, you do the maths, it would never work. Of course, it would never work.
Yeah.
And we know that, and we knew that at the time, but there were certain misconceptions that we were in it for the wrong reasons. We're not in it for the wrong reasons. Everybody that's involved with the trust, the Bolton Wanderers fans, committed to the core, always want what's best for the club, and always want what's best for the supporters, because the club isn't owned. I mean, if you imagine a house and you either buy a house or you rent a house, and I think that a football club, if it's like a house, it's you might have different owners, but the people that are in it all the time are the supporters. And they're the ones who stay there. And they're the ones who it really belongs to. And, you know, your tenants in there could be the people who come in and take over the club for a short period of time. You know, football ventures won't be there forever.
No,
we know that. I don't know how long. Things seem to be quite straightforward now at the moment. But who knows? Who knows how things go in the future? And again, going back to what we're saying about setting up a trust in times of distress, who knows what the next owner might be like? We're getting on very, very well at the moment with Football Ventures and with Sharon Britton and with Neil Hart, and there's definite dialogue there. There was never dialogue with Ken Anderson. It was just monologue. He would just talk down to everybody, and we never got anywhere with that, and we never would have got anywhere with that. But you know, we're just representing the interests of the supporters, and if there is a dialogue, there is a route to speak with the club and with the people who matter in the club. We'll maintain that as long as we can.
Yeah,
and it's positive at the minute. Everything's good. We were talking, we signed the memorandum of understanding soon after Neil Hart came in as chief exec. He was very keen to engage with the trust. He understands the what supporters bring to a football club, and as I say, it is the community, it's everything in and around the club. So it's all positive from that point of view at the moment. But who knows what our next owner, whenever that may be, will be like. And that is when a supporters trust, and we're all learning all the time. We're speaking to other trusts, we're members of the FSA. I'm actually on the National Council of the FSA, so I have direct contact with a lot of other supporters trusts. And it's scary to see how alike the supporters trust movements are and how they've come into being, why they're needed. And you see what's going on at various other clubs at the minute. I don't know whether anybody's seen the West Brom fans are up in arms now because there's nonsense going on at West Brom. It's been Derby, it's been Coventry, it's been all over the show, and all these people are fighting the same sort of battles. And it's the battle to keep the club alive and to keep the club sustainable and stable and part of the community. So there's no other reason for that other than that. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we want to do. We'll work with it, we'll roll with it while the times are good, but we'll be here when Football Ventures aren't.
Yeah.
And as I say, who knows when that will be, but it will be. It will happen. And hopefully we can get a similar relationship with whoever a new owner would be. But I think they're here for certainly for the foreseeable future, and we'll roll with that.
Yeah, it definitely seems the club is headed in the right direction. It's nice to hear that affirmation from you. And like you said, Football Ventures might not be here forever, or definitely won't be here forever. But for the foreseeable, it's good to know that we've got them. They seem to have the club's best interests at heart, as well as the fans, actually, which is makes a change, to say the very least. What's your sort of vision for the new year? What do you want to see the Supporters Trust do in the new year? Would you like to sort of bridge the gap between the fans more, or what would you like to see?
Well, we want to maintain and develop and build on the relationship that we've got with the club. One of the major projects that we're engaged in at the moment, and there's two of the trust board that are having regular meetings to look at the disabled facilities in and around the ground. That is a massive ask. There's a working group being set up, and I think that is one of the main things that is being worked on at the moment. And the community trust are involved, the club are involved, and the supporters trust are involved. We're liaising. We've got the affiliate groups, and one of those affiliates is the Disabled Supporters Association. So we're working closely with them. We've got some very skilled people on the board. Robin and Ian Pegg are leading this from the trust point of view. They're the representatives in the working group, and they're very experienced and they understand about the facilities side. So it's a very positive and professional sort of relationship. That's one of the main things that we need to develop. We're carrying on with the regular meetings that we're having with the club, and there's all sorts of things cropping up in that. The kit selection. That was one of our ideas. We put to the club, and I think it has been done in the past before, but I don't think any club has ever had the fans select both home and away kits. I believe that's a first.
Yeah.
And again, as I say, it was one of our ideas that we put to him in one of our meetings to Neil. The season tickets, the half tickets for the schools, and we're throwing things like this in all the time, these ideas, and we're getting receptive hearing from the club, and they're taking these things on board. Not everything. There are things that we say that we get knocked back on, but we're trying all the time. Everything is done from the stance that we want the best match day experience for the supporters, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, fantastic. It's good to see sort of the constant sort of improvement and development in and around the club. On the pitch, the results are seemingly getting better season on season, but off the pitch as well, there's a real vision for progress there. So what about your vision for Bolton on the pitch? What do you want to see Bolton do maybe in the January window or for the rest of the season? What do you think is needed for Bolton to have that same success on the pitch?
I think we need more goals. But doesn't every team look for more goals? That's the position on the field that everybody needs to look at and improve, because goals win games. I'd love to think that we could get promotion. I think automatic is going to be a big ask. But who knows? The way we've been performing in the second half of seasons, and if there's some sensible and realistic dealings done in January, who knows? If we go on a run like we did in League Two, automatic's not beyond the realms of possibility. However, if it's going to be the exciting way, which is the playoffs, it is the best way to go up, isn't it? We've experienced it.
Oh, yeah.
If you could guarantee that we're going to go to Wembley and win twice game promotion. But on the field, if we get promotion, if we can get championship status next season, I'd love to be able to think that Man City might think about letting us have Traff for another season, because I don't think it's going to be that long before that lad plays for England.
No,
seriously.
He's a very good player, isn't he?
Well, he is, and City know what he's like because they've given him a 5-year contract.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They've not done that for fun, have they?
No.
They know he's the future goalkeeper, and the longer we can have him, the more benefit it is for us. But he's going to be a hard act to follow, whoever we do end up with as a goalkeeper after draft, whether it's next season or whether we can keep hold of him for another season. And again, on the field, I think we need. This is just my personal view, but I think we're short of a leader, to be honest with you. I do think we need somebody who's got, and particularly in the middle of the park, somebody who can be having a bad game but can still be working with the other players instead of going into the shell, which one or two of them can do if things don't go right. But that's a small thing, really. Just keep winning games. And satisfying the crowd and playing in the right way, because we got 24,000, is it now, for the derby game?
Yeah.
Counting. That's going to be a great atmosphere.
Superb.
Be a good game, that, I think.
Absolutely.
Because when you're playing sides like that, you're playing sides that want to win, and they're not coming just to spoil like we've had in the past. That clubs are desperate to come and just keep going for 90 minutes and get a point and destroy and all. And I hope Derby come and try and make a game of it, and it should be a good match.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. And yeah, I think it's a topic that we've touched on in terms of needing a leader. It's something that we've touched on in quite a few of the episodes that we've done so far. And so hopefully January can provide that. So before we sort of wrap things up with you, if you could pass one message on to the fans to get them on board with the trust, or just say if there were a set of fans who had no idea what the trust do or who they are, what would be the one thing you say to them?
Well, every fan's got a voice. You pay your money, you go to the ground, you go and watch a match, you've got a voice, you can shout. However, it's a mass voice that what we like to think we are is we're the we're very easily contactable, and especially with the Fanzone in place now, anybody can call, and you don't have to be a member of the trust to come and have a chat with us. We prefer as many people as we can to get to sign up to the trust, of course, because that all helps things. We've got regular communication with our members, and we'd like to think that the more people that sign up to the trust, the more emphasis is given on to collaboration with the trust by the club. So if you want to have your voice heard, if you want somebody to represent you, because we can't have 20,000 people all having a chat with Neil Hart or Sharon Britton or Ian Everett, but we can take those thoughts and those ideas and those worries, if they are worries or whatever, to the club. We're looking to do that, and that's what we act as a sort of a bridge between the mass supporters and the club. So you've got to have some sort of way of filtering things out, and or distilling things and making some meaningful representation, and that's what we present. So if people want to have the voice heard, join the trust. Simple as that.
Fantastic.
Well said.
Yeah. Scenes as it is the Christmas special, though, it does only feel right that we have some sort of festive question in there. I suppose we'll do this for everyone. So, what are your Christmas dinner essentials? Usually, when we get a guest on, we ask them what a fry up consists of for them, and we've had some pretty rogue answers, including poached eggs. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me.
So, Ian, what are your Christmas dinner essentials? What's on your plate?
Well, pretty boring actually, because it's pretty standard. One thing we do is we don't go for the Paxo stuffing. I make my own stuffing. I like doing that. That's something that I do. But and another little twist. I mean, you think about sprouts. Sprouts is a traditional Christmas one, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I like sprouts. I like them on their own. But what I do with them as well, they only usually come out at Christmas. Do them in cream. Just do them like that. It makes a difference. Yeah, bit of black pepper on it, ground black pepper, and do them in cream. You want to try it?
A revelation.
It
Never heard that before. Pancetta and stuff like that.
Pancetta and stuff, yeah.
Wow.
Just do them like a frying pan and just heat them through. Parboil them first, go through it, and then just put them in cream for a bit of black pepper on. Try it.
Sounds of that. I love sprouts. I'm a big sprout fan.
But other than that, it's pretty conventional. Roasties, turkey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's me.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure maybe there'll be some people that try sprouts in cream this Christmas. If you do, give that a go. Let us know what it's like. Yeah, if you've got any left over when you're watching this, pop in a pan with some cream. Let us know how you get on. What about you, Chris? What's on your plate? What are the essentials?
Similar to Ian, really. Apart from, I don't like turkey.
I'm not a big fan either.
I just find it too dry. It's like eating a chamois leather. It's I just don't find it pleasant at all. I find that we tend to go for an upmarket chicken corn-fed and all that.
Corn-fed Tesco finest.
Yeah, you know the drill, Ange. Yeah, so we tend to go for that, really. But other than that, very much similar to me. Roasties, sprouts, not in cream, maybe this year. Yeah, pretty standard stuff, but with chicken as opposed to turkey.
Yeah, interesting. Good call. I'm on the same boat. Turkey's not for me. Do not like it whatsoever. What about you, Ange?
Well, I love turkey, but maybe I'm just a better cook. Because my turkey is not dry.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Same again, roasted. So we normally have two sorts of potatoes because Finn isn't my child strange and he's not a big roasty fan. So we'll normally have a bit of mash on the go and all. Carrots and swede mash. Yeah. Parsnips, Brussels sprouts, and a controversial one for some people, Yorkshire pudding. Yorkshire pudding.
Really?
There's another one here if you think about sweets, something afterwards, pudding wise, and again this is something that I used to live in Brayton and our next door neighbours were from York, and we were introduced to Christmas cake and cheese.
Oh, I've seen this specific Christmas cake you can get for cheese. I've seen it.
It's something that seems to have originated and comes out of Yorkshire. So I don't know. It's worth a try, actually.
Wow, I have to give that.
I always have some grapes on the side of my cheese board. So it's you think what's in a Christmas cake? It's like raisins and stuff in it. So it's essentially grapes.
Try it.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I have to give that one a whirl. My Christmas dinner, same as everyone's really. It's pretty standard. One thing that has to be on there is parsnips. Roasted parsnips. Absolutely cannot beat them. Never really seem to have them any other time of year apart from Christmas, but yeah, you get a few of them on my plate. Carrots and swede is another one. Can't beat that. Hell of a lot of gravy. Gotta be done.
All of the gravy.
Absolutely loads of it. And even though I don't like sprouts, I think they've got to be on there just for Christmas traditions. Really cannot stand them, but it's the only time of year where...
Try it in cream, Ben. See what the cream does.
Maybe that's what I'll have to do. But yeah, my Christmas dinner, like you said, Chris, not a fan of turkey. Any other meat will do. But definitely not turkey. Well, that just about rounds off our chat with Ian. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Ian.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
On the good work.
Thanks very much.
Likewise.
Take care.
Have a great Christmas. All the very best to you, Ian.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
See you later. Next player on our keep or retained list is John Daddy Budvarsson. I think for me that's going to be another one that's pretty straightforward. I'd like to see him keep his place. I think he's a great striker on his day and he's capable of finding the back of the net, and he's shown us that. But what about you, Beth? What do you think?
He's a keep for me. I just think, like you said, I think he's better as an impact player. I think he does well last 20 minutes or so. He's a decent big man up front, and he absolutely grafts his arse off. Yeah,
he does indeed. You agree, Chris?
Yeah. He knows where the net is. He's shown in parts what he can do. He's had a rotten run this season with injuries. I think he's an absolute keep.
Yeah, I agree, and I think many other fans would say the same. Bit of a potential questionable one. Owen Beck, obviously, same as Bradley, on loan to us from Liverpool. We'll start with you, Chris. What do you think? Are you having him back for another season?
I think there's a lot more to come. I know I sound like Everett because he said exactly the same thing. But I do. I think when he came on against Exeter, he looked good. On Saturday, he added a lot of much-needed zip into the game. I think a lot of it will depend on the situation with Declan John in January.
Yeah.
If Dec goes, then I think we should keep him. But I think it will depend on that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think it will hinge on what outgoings there are in January, and I do think, like you said, there is more to come from Beck, and I think it might actually be too soon to decide whether actually we want him back next season or not. Maybe towards the end of the season we'll see some impressive things from him. Who knows? What about you, Ange?
Yeah, I like what I see. He's got masses of room for growth. He's not quite up to Brad's standards, but I think he could be.
Yeah.
I think if we stay in League One, he might get another season with us. I think if he goes up, we don't take him with us. From what I've seen so far.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair judgment. Definitely, I think League One would be a good run for him this season and next season. I'm not sure whether the Championship would come a step too soon, though, if we were to go up. Next one, Joel Dixon. I think we're all going to be on the same page on this one. Well, maybe not actually, but who knows? For me, it's a goner. We need someone else in January, whether it be a backup goalkeeper or maybe even another youth prospect. Luke Hutchinson, we've seen bits and glimpses from him. He's had some good loan spells. And so I'd like to see him sort of take Joel's spot as maybe cup keeper. It's a questionable one. We'd like some security in there, but obviously good keepers at this level aren't always easy to come by. What about you, Chris? What are you doing with Joel?
I nearly said something I regret. Obviously, we need to maintain our integrity as people in the media. It's not happening, is it? No. I don't. No. See you later.
Yeah, I think it is really as simple as that. What about you, Ange?
It's a no from me. Move on.
Yeah. He's not a fan favourite by any stretch of the imagination. Someone who arguably is a fan favourite, though, Josh Sheehan. What a good little player he is. For me, clear as day. I'm keeping him for another year or two. I think he's capable of making the step up to the Championship with us if we did go up. And his technical ability on the ball is just unmatched to some of the players in our squad. What about you, Chris?
No brainer. He's not anywhere near fulfilled his potential with us. I don't think we've seen half of the player of what he is. I think he's just class, and I think he showed signs of it. Obviously, in terms of recovering from his injury at Shrewsbury, he's an asset. Got to keep him.
Absolutely. You agree, Ange?
Yes, beautiful footballer. Second half of the season is his time to shine, and he's a definite keeper for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think many of us are on the same page on that one. I can't see many people whisking him off in the summer. MJ Williams, Chris, do you want to go first one? You want to start?
For me, I would say this is probably one of the most difficult ones to call.
Yeah.
If we went up, is he good enough for the Championship? No. Sorry. Love him. Absolutely love the lad. He's a belter. Does a lot of work that just goes under the radar, mops up so much. It's tough, but if we go up, I'm afraid he will have to go. But he's going to be difficult to replace, and it's going to cost us.
Yeah, I think part of my reasoning for this one is similar to that, just because of the fact that if he was to go, he'd be difficult to replace because there aren't many like him, and the cost that comes associated with that. I wouldn't mind having him for another year. If we did go up, I think, although he might not be of the best quality in the Championship, I don't think we're in a position to build a squad that has 11 players that are Championship quality at the end of the day. And so, MJ might be one of those that's just substandard. But I think his role in the midfield, but also off the pitch in terms of mentoring players like Aaron Morley, George Thomason, the younger midfielders that he might have under his wing, I think, has to be valued as well. What about you, Angel? Tough one.
I'm not my screen's not frozen. I'm just. He's like, he's such a tough one because League Two MJ was an absolute. He was Messiah Jesus, wasn't he?
Yeah, unbelievable.
And we see little glimpses of it. We see a beautiful little Pirlo pass, and then for me, he just against the better sides, he's that little half a yard behind the pace.
Yeah.
It frustrates me a little bit. If we're up, he's gone. No chance. I don't think he's coming with us. But like Chris said, he's such a nice fella.
It's not a popularity contest, unfortunately.
I know.
Hard,
and I think this, to be honest, this season he's frustrated me more than he's pleased me. So if we're being brutal, then I think it's a no.
Yep, football is a cruel sport. Next, Will Aimson. This was another tough one for me. I wasn't really sure where to go with it.
It is after Exeter. It's a bloody tough one.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I think after some games we've seen in this season, he's really put a shift in, but some games he has been really, really poor. And that lack of consistency is what worries me, because in a championship that standard, if you aren't playing consistently, good enough, you're going to get found out. And the championship, with the quality that some of the teams have, you look at Burnley. If you can imagine Burnley playing against Will Aimson on a bad day, he would get run absolutely ragged. But for me, it's another one where I'm thinking we just don't have. I don't think we've got the facilities to bring in a whole new host of players that are capable of playing at championship standard, and so I'd keep him just on the basis that if we can, consolidate in the championship for a season and then look at shifting some players on and bringing some new players in, potentially with some new investment or whatever, however the money comes about, it will be needed. So for me, Aimson gets a little longer stay. What about you, Ange?
To be honest, when he was out with his injury, it didn't bother me. And that's how I tend to kind of gauge my feelings about players. But then he was outstanding on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I don't know. For me, I feel like the stuff's been going on behind the scenes with him. And as we know, when players aren't happy, they don't perform.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the nice Ange thinks if he could be settled and happy, then there's a player in there. But it's that uncertainty with him. So I think maybe no for Will.
Interesting one. What about you, Chris?
Yeah. It's easy to get carried away off the back of what happened against Exeter, because it's Exeter. Obviously, they're prolific, but still, it's Exeter. I just think playing him in the correct role makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
The benefits that he can bring in terms of his experience for both Santos and Toll are massive. And also, I think one of the things that it's highlighted, like Ange was saying about him not playing, it highlights our lack of depth in that area.
Yeah.
And having him there, I think, is important in that respect. So whether it's as a starter or whether it's coming off the bench or covering or whatever, I think he's important. So I would say stay.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Next one, which is another one that I think might actually be quite tough, and that's Kieran Lee. For me, it's a tough one because his talent is unquestionable. He is a football player. But from the glimpses that we've seen this season, at League One level, the pace of games can be slowed down tremendously, and games can be played with that sort of player where you can, there will be teams, numerous teams actually at this level that will sit back and won't bring the game to you, and as a result of that, we control the tempo of the game. However, we make the step up to the Championship. I can't see that being the case, and I can see us, although trying to play football, often being the team that needs to sit back and play a little bit more controlled and restrictive to come away with a point. And I don't think Kieran Lee is a player that suits that style of play. I think his appearances this season, he's been, on the mark, but that's for 1 in every 4 games where he's getting a chance to play. And so I don't think he managed to keep up to the Championship, the pace of the Championship, I should say. And so for me, I think it might be time for him to go in the summer if we go up. If not, then I'd see him in League One for another year, perhaps. But if we were in the Championship, as much as it breaks me to say it, I just don't think he'd be able to cope. I think it would just be too much for him and his body in general. What about you, Ange?
To be honest, you've just completely made me rethink, because sitting looking at my list, I was like, Kieran Lee, Rolls Royce, Tip, staying, yes. And then listen to you, very valid points. I think he does really well with the younger players. I think his experience absolutely guides those lads on the pitch. League One, absolutely, without a doubt, yes. But it's like you've just said, and how old is he now? He's getting on a bit and all, isn't he?
34.
Yeah. Oh, if we go up, I don't think we can take him. Maybe he could be a coach. Can we just keep him anyway?
No, that's that's the fallback position, isn't it? That's the safe one, isn't it? Oh, Connor as a coach. No. Sorry. Sound like Simon Cowell. It's like X Factor, isn't it? It's like Judge's House.
It's enough. It's enough from me.
There are very, very few players that could cut it in the Championship week in, week out at 35 years of age.
Yeah.
It's a tough old league. And last, but by no means least, Chris. Lloyd Isgrove. I suppose it's only fair we start with you. What are your thoughts?
Or would you rather hear our thoughts?
Yeah, go on. You go first. I'm just delaying it.
We'll start with you, Ange. Don't break his heart.
Do you know what? I adore Izzy. Absolutely adore him. I just think he's too injury prone, and I think he's taking a space that potentially we need. As much as I love him, it's a no from me.
I am unfortunately on the same page. I think he's a great lad. He's a great character. Of the dealings that I've had with him, he's a wonderful, wonderful person. But football is a cruel sport. And at the end of the day, like Chris has said many times, which I'm sure he'll hate to hear me, repeat his own words, it's not a popularity contest. Unfortunately, like you said, Ange, that's a place that someone else could fill that would be getting ample game time, which unfortunately Isgrove isn't. So, Chris, that leaves us as you. What are you?
I think he should manage the club. Own it.
Be lost it. It could be lost it.
Perfect. It's difficult, isn't it? You've got to be professional about it, and he's had it really rough, really rough.
Yeah, he has.
Can he come back from it? Can he get maybe, I don't know, 3 months of football towards the end of the season? I think that will decide it. if not, then unfortunately, it's time to look for
Chris.
game time. I know.
Don't say it.
He's got to go. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Lloyd. I'm sorry, mate. But yeah.
It's the psychology as well. When you've had that many injuries in quick succession, it's whether you can get yourself back into that where he's not worrying about his body letting him down as well. There's so much more involved.
It is difficult, and I think when he came back and he played those couple of games, he showed what he brings, and it's there. But you got to have somebody who's challenging for us, for a starting spot, and I don't think he can.
Aww.
Yeah,
but we love you. We love you, Izzy.
We do indeed. It's tough. Football is a cruel sport.
It is.
At League One level, there are times where you can get away with having players that aren't getting ample game time, but can be, effective in the dressing room. And at League One, those sorts of players you can just about get away with. But in the Championship, you need a full squad of players that can play. Championship's fast paced, and there are a few players that get called up for international duty, which means other players have to step in, and you can't afford to have anyone not playing, and that's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. So I suppose after this we'll touch. We seem to touch on it a lot, but the January transfer window. By the time this goes out, by the time people are watching this, we may well be underway, or the rumours may be in full swing. Has your retained list or release list rather affected what needs to happen in January? Obviously, for me, I said backer, catcher, Joel Dixon and Isgrove might be the ones to make way. And so for me, I think a new goalkeeper is essential, which we've talked about in the past. That number 10, 100%. Potentially a new striker. There is some rumours in the mill. What comes of those, we'll have to wait and see. What about you, Chris? Have your standpoints changed on what needs to happen in January? Or are you still very much the same?
No, very much the same. I think a number 10 is, or a traditional number 10 could be important for us. I think a step up in terms of competition for Dion alongside John Daddy. So Ward fits the bill perfectly in that respect. He's been there, seen it, done it, and scored at Championship level consistently. He's 31, so he's of a good age, and I think he would be open to relearning whatever expects from his tactical standpoint. I think he'd be up for that. But Jesus, after what we've just done, I think we're going to need a coach load, aren't we?
Yeah. It is a tough one. That's to step up to the Championship, I think, for us, with the squad we have at the minute, will be so tough. There needs to be some investment, and I'm not saying that we do a Nottingham Forest and sign everyone in the world, but we need some strengthening in certain areas. And what are your views on January? Are you still very much the same?
Yeah, striker. If we can start to kind of look at keepers, get one in that got half a season to integrate into the team before becoming the number one next season, then bonus. I've got players all over pitch me on me crosses on my sheet, so like you both said, that number 10 would be beautiful. Number 10. But yeah, for me, when we completely rehauled squads in League Two season, etc., it's that gelling of players as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't want too much movement. Certainly not if we go up. I wouldn't mind if we get promoted. I wouldn't mind a lower half settling in season in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we can kind of gel a squad or whatever, because it don't matter how good your players are if they don't know each other and they don't gel, it just don't work, does it? So I'm not all for massive overhauls. Couple of marquee signings would be nice, but would be all as well, I would say, that we would need. And kind of, we have got some players that have got a bit more, I think, in the tank that we can get a bit more out of. If we can keep a couple of loan deals. Yeah, that's me.
It's a frightening thought, isn't it, when you think about what's required to even compete at the championship level versus what we've got now.
Absolutely.
Are we ready? We all want it,
Yeah, but
we're all getting on board at HMS, aren't we? But are we ready for it financially, structurally, personnel-wise? It's a worry.
It is.
I think people underestimate what is needed. You can't do it on a wing and a prayer.
Absolutely not.
You don't want to be a yo-yo club, for the love of God. I can't be bothered with that.
No.
Now, you look at teams like Blackburn, who are now sat in third place in the championship with a player like Brereton Diaz firing up front. The quality that's required to be at the top end of that table is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And as good as some of our players might feel at the minute, if you think about Brereton Diaz running at Will Aimson or Geffin Jones or Aaron Morley, it puts the fear of God into you. Because those sorts of players at the top end of that championship are just different class. And like you said, the money needed to compete in the championship nowadays is absurd. Not far off wrapping up now. I think the next bit is just sort of a way of recapping the year, really. We're going to look at our favourite Bolton memory of 2022. That could be a specific goal, a game, whatever. I think I'll start on this one. I think I'll go with a game. My best game of 2022, I think, was quite possibly Oxford away last season when Backer last minute and Fossey's goal that day out against what was a very good Oxford side that were in form at home. Didn't look like we could win, and then to do it in good old Bolton style. What a day out that was. I think that, for me, looking back on 22, that was definitely up there as my favourite game, I think. What about you, Ange?
It's a tough one.
It is.
It's a really tough one.
Is. For the first time in what feels like forever, there's actually quite a few to choose from.
Yeah.
This is it. And I'm getting on a bit, so my memory's not the best. But so I'm going to go with the recent. I'm going to go this season, and I'm going to go for a game again, and I'm going to go for Aki away.
Yeah, good choice.
Just because, oh my God.
Can't go wrong, can you?
No. It's just that feeling, isn't it? It's that feeling you get when you knowing that previously would have let that go. We wouldn't have done it. So for me, that exhilaration at Aki away, I think, is it's certainly been my season highlight so far. I'm going to stick with that.
Chris?
I, believe it or not, it's a bit of a copper. I agree with you, Ben. I'll counter it with something that runs it close. But yeah, Oxford away went to that game not expecting anything. There were like 1,800 whites down there. The atmosphere was incredible. Bouncy. The posse flip was
amazing.
A perfect 10. It was brilliant, and it was a really open game. Two teams who wanted to play football.
Yeah,
good game, really good game.
Going toe to toe, let's have it. Come on, and it was brilliant to watch. But I think Fleetwood, for me, it was better. It bettered Accrington, because the winner was so late, and also we were in the seats and picking yourself up, and then you realise that James Trafford stood right in front of you. He's run the full length of the pitch as well as the lad with the green coat. And it was just the atmosphere and the euphoria was just unbelievable. So that's got to run it close. But Oxford for me, closely followed by Fleetwood.
Yeah, and it's nice actually to look back on a year and think, be spoilt for choice on some of our favourite things, or favourite games or moments and stuff like that. Even in terms of goals, you had that Charles one at home, the slide tackle that was just
Fleetwood,
that one, unbelievable goal, and just really, really nice to look back on a year and think, wow, spoiled for choice.
When that season started, wasn't it? In terms of last season, that's when it really kicked in the beginning of this year. And like you say, Ben, you're right. It's an embarrassment of riches when you think back about all the highs. There's been some crap moments, but there's been.
They've been much fewer. The crap has been well outweighed by some proper, good memories and some proper nice bits of football, isn't it?
Very much,
definitely. And so that brings us to next year. The fixture you're most looking forward to in 2023. Still quite a few to choose from, obviously running from January to the end of the season in May. What could be even the playoffs, perhaps, who knows? What could confirm the playoffs at Bristol Rovers away on the last day of the season. Exeter, Sheff Wednesday, Ipswich, some really big hitters still to come. So what are we most looking forward to next year? Or at the time this is released, it'll be this year. We'll start with you, Ange. What are you most looking forward to? Which one?
I'm going to be overly optimistic.
All right.
I'm looking forward to a Papa John's Cup final.
Oh, interesting call. I didn't even think of that.
I'd like a bit of silverware. And yeah, absolutely. And it's league. I mean, you kind of know. So for me, when you're looking at the league matches coming up, you're looking for places you've not been, or a big away day, or but I think that's something different that you don't get every season. And so for me, keep it short. Papa John's Cup final, trip to Wembley, bosh.
Well, in terms of big away days, it doesn't get much bigger than Wembley.
No. More expensive.
No, well, yeah, there is that. I think, that would be one hell of a way to. That would be great. For me, it would be a trip to Wembley at first with Bolton. Hopefully, one that I can look back on and remember fondly, rather than I'm sure some of both of your experiences at Wembley. What about you, Chris? What are you looking forward to most next year?
I was going to say the playoff final, but A, we're not in it, and B, you don't look forward to them. They're horrible. Unless you win them, they're just horrendous, gut-wrenching, nerve-shattering. I can't act it. I'm looking forward to Derby away.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be good then.
I've been to the old ground, to the baseball ground, but I've not been to Pride Park, so it'll be first for me, and we'll take a few. and I think it'll be an excellent game. Obviously, we'll get a bit of a benchmark of that on the 27th. But no, I'm really looking forward to that as a fan experience, and hopefully from a footballing and result experience point of view as well.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Looking forward to that one.
I think sort of similar to yours, actually, Chris, in terms of the size of the game, and for me, that's Sheff Wednesday away, a trip that I've not actually managed to do yet, one that I've missed out on, but I'm looking forward to trying to do this season.
Don't end up behind the post like I did last season.
Yeah, it's a lot of respect to you in that ground. Big gap, but my God, it needs a bit of a facelift.
It's a bit of a TLC, doesn't it?
But no, that's definitely a game I'm looking forward to. Really, really big game. Not too far away, March. Sort of in between 3/4 of the way through the season.
It could be pivotal as well. Whoever wins that game in terms of how the league's panning out, it could be a really important game at that point.
Yeah,
and there is some confusion, isn't there, over the Papa John's final of what actual date, what date it is. So some have got it that weekend that is supposed to be Sheff Wednesday away, and some have got it the first weekend in April. Like the EFL website and the something else website, they've got conflicting dates.
Yeah,
so.
They're both official websites, and one can contradict the other. Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
How bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, we have to get there first, I suppose, don't we? But
we do.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There are, in and around that Sheffield Wednesday game away, there are a few big ones with Ipswich just before it, 6 days before, and Exeter not long after. So yeah, there are a few really big games still to come this season. And that just about rounds off our Christmas special.
Taking that off.
half a bottle of Bailey's later.
So yeah, if you are still watching, and you made it all the way to the end and managed to listen to us for what will be around an hour and a half, then big well done to you. And I think the next one after this will go live, which should be on New Year's Day. Will not long be after for Barnsley, whatever episode that will be. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, then make sure to follow us on all our platforms. You can see them all at the bottom of the screen. Give us a follow. And if you head over to YouTube, subscribe to us and click the bell, you will be notified as soon as we put out a video that goes live. So yeah, as always, take care, and we will see you in the next one. See you later.
See you later.